I watched all 8 Harry Potter films.
Well, you knocked that out in a week?
Got it done in a week, bro. And let me tell you, this is like 20 hours of programming. These movies are so long.
They just get longer as it goes, dude.
Seriously, dude. And
Sirius
I came
Black.
on here. Yeah. And all I wanted to say to you was, Happy Christmas, Dave. That's it. That's what I wanted to tell you right off the jump. But let me tell you, man, I distinctly remember in high school, especially like sophomore, junior year, I started seeing these Harry Potter books pop up everywhere.
Yep.
And these were like, no joke, these were thick books, right? And the only thing I was into at that age was rap, wrestling, and women.
Yep.
That's it, man. You know, so I didn't have any time for...
No space.
Yeah, for wizards and witchcraft and giants and, you know, ghosts and dragons, like none of that stuff. But let me tell you, man, I'm really happy that I watched them.
Good. That's good to hear.
So if you recall, me and you recently watched, not recently, gosh, I'm trying to think, when was this? A few years ago, we watched all of the Star Wars films up to that point, right?
Yep.
Because you have to at least be able to say that you saw them. I have a different reaction to Harry Potter than I did Star Wars. My Star Wars reaction, and I'm not comparing the two films, just that they're both long, successful franchises, right? My feeling with Star Wars was, I understand why people love it, but it's not for me.
Yep. It's canon. Like for filmmakers,
yeah.
it's I always say, and I've said it to
Canon.
Joe
Canon.
forever. I'm like, dude, this is not about you enjoying this. This is a chore. This is homework as a filmmaker.
Yeah. No,
all
totally.
those now, all the references on memes or wherever, you're like, Star Wars got it.
Yeah. So I didn't want to give my thoughts about Harry Potter until I watched all of them. I said, look, just for the sake, like this will be my December thing. I didn't realize I'd hum through them in 7 days, but I did. And I can understand why people love them. And I also think they're super cool.
Right? It's such a good series. Such a good series. And you know, Maddie B is a huge Harry Potter nerd.
Yeah.
You've probably been on the rides, though. You've been to, like, Universal, right?
I never went to Harry Potter Land. That was never a thing.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
well, now
man.
you're going to go,
Again,
right?
Possibly if the opportunity presented itself. But here's the thing, man. It was so weird because I was conversing with our friend Corey this whole time. And this whole thing came about because his son Ollie really wanted me to watch Harry Potter with him. But of course, I'm not there. He's not here. We're in different time zones.
Yeah.
He's it would never work, right? So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm gonna watch these. It's going to be my thing for December because there's always some kind of theme. And watching these films, slowly but surely, you start to kind of just let yourself believe more. You can suspend disbelief quickly with these movies, you know, because fantasy and, you know, sci-fi, like I can really be into that kind of stuff. Wizards and witchcraft, like I can be into that. So let's see how they present it. And it was presented in a really cool way. There were several moments throughout watching all of these movies that I jumped out of my seat with excitement.
Dang.
So that's how emotionally invested I was watching these. And conversing with Corey back and forth, I had so many questions about what was happening, right?
Right.
And he goes, well, and if I hear him say this phrase one more time, I was about to lose it. And the phrase is, well, in the books, over and over again. Okay, well, JR, in the books, they go into more detail. Okay, well, if you were to listen to the books, you know, I'm just like, no, I'm in this for how they present it to me on film. And because I've kind of stolen a piece of your mind while I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, look at how that was shot. Or, oh, I didn't even realize how the shadow had been on this guy's face the whole time. I didn't realize he was a bad guy until now.
Yep.
Like
the way they light it.
Yeah, you know? And I'll tell you, it's like growing up with somebody. Now, when you first watched these films, maybe you did it in real time as they came out.
Mostly, yeah. Mostly it'd come out, we go to the theater, and it was cool because they would release, I think, a lot of them around Christmas time.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
They say the Sorcerer's Stone is the best non-Christmas Christmas film. I did a bit on my show about it this past week.
Oh, it is quite good.
Yeah. So as I'm watching these all back to back to back, you can kind of see, oh, wow, they are getting a little bit older. But it's not as jarring as at the very end of the movie.
Right.
It's them as parents.
Yeah,
and it flashes back to little Harry and little Hermione and little Ron Weasley.
Yep.
In his hand-me-down robe. And I'm like, holy smokes, man. To think, the first thing that came through my mind was they don't understand the amount of joy and excitement they gave to an entire generation of people over a friggin' decade.
Yeah.
That is remarkable. And now people are starting, I've been openly talking about this a bit on my show. Like, hey, 3 down, XYZ to go.
Nice.
So far, this is my, like, every week, unsolicited, I'm giving people my Harry Potter update on the air. My bosses probably think I'm a crazy man. And I'm chatting with some folks about it today at Out the Box because I went off to go drop off some stuff to sell. And they're like, hey, did you know that there's going to be a new film coming? Or is it a show or something like that? And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. You know, the last movie came out in 2011, so you've been waiting over like 10 years for this. If this comes out next year, I'm going to have to wait 8-9 months, you know?
Man.
And that was kind of wild to me. If they actually do this, bringing back the Golden Trio, as I've learned they're called,
yeah,
that would be super rad, man. I'll tell you, I got disappointed a few times throughout this because I was waiting for my guy Ron to become an absolute just world beater.
Okay.
Just badass. And I feel like I never quite got that with him, right? I felt like Neville was kind of more of a badass than Ron. Hermione certainly was because she had a mean streak, right?
Well, Neville has the best like arc he's like a chubby little kid, and then he kills a snake with a sword. You can't get better than that.
Sick. Right. And this, okay, so all this is fresh on my mind. So I'm all over the map right now. Excuse me, I haven't like written this out. I was disappointed with the way the first film ended.
Okay.
Only because I saw how the second film ended. When Harry puts the Gryffindor sword, was it? Through the snake?
Yeah, and the basilisk, yeah.
Yeah, that was the coolest thing, man. And like the first one, he just touches the guy. So I'm like,
but
I don't know.
You got to think, he's just a little kid. Like, what could he do? Like, what could he act out and do? Like, he's just little.
Okay. No, he was. And Daniel Radcliffe was the actor, right?
Yeah.
Little Daniel, his smile was so contagious when he would all of a sudden just pop out from behind Ron, just smiling so big with his little circle. Like, you're like, that's the cutest kid ever, you know? But I was a little bit disappointed how the first one ended. Second one ended great. I think, gosh, I'm trying to think of them in order. Was number 4 the Goblet of Fire, or was that 5?
I think that was 4.
That one was super good, man. That's the one with when they go to the World Cup, right?
They go to the Quidditch World Cup at the beginning.
Oh, man, that one was so good.
And that's a movie where things start to get like really dark visually.
No, they did.
And story-wise, you're like, oh, things have totally changed. It's no more like happy Hogwarts all the time. It's on edge.
And what's so cool to me about not experiencing, JR will in the books, because I like the way on film how it can subconsciously tell you, even when the opening WB logo comes up, they noticeably just get darker.
Yeah. Every time that logo, you go through it, you're like, oh, now it's just clouds. Oh, man, now it's falling apart.
Here we go. Yeah. The whole process was really cool. I'm really happy that I watched them. I'll probably watch them all again at some point. And now I'm starting to think, what's next? What's like a really popular franchise that I haven't seen? Corey told me to watch Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yeah, you got to watch that because that's some origin stories behind some characters they talk about in Harry Potter.
let me ask you this right now, because I haven't gotten a straight answer. Corey hasn't answered me back yet. Can I read to you the last text I sent to him?
Yeah. What'd you ask him?
Let me open this up. And you might have to bleep me here, Dave.
All right.
This was at 12:51 a.m. my time, okay?
So early over here.
I text Corey. It was like 2-something a.m. over there. I go, Dumbledore, you piece of And this was at the point.
Context.
Yeah, this was because I had been keeping up with him. He's like, hey, tell me what you're thinking as you're watching these. And I guess he had gone to bed. I wrote him, I said, Dumbledore, you piece of And this was in the very last film. And I can tell what happened, right?
It's been long enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Spoilers.
So in the last film, you learn that Snape was like a good guy this whole time, and I thought he was a bad guy.
Heartbreaking moment,
Snape, right?
When him and Harry have the moment, he's like, "Oh," Harry realizes everything.
Yeah, and then I'm like, wait a minute, Dumbledore is literally just leading Harry to slaughter this entire time, just stringing him along. So I got super upset about that because I got really invested in him as a wizard, like he was the top dog, right?
Yep.
And then I'm like, so wait a minute, he's doing this, but then he's in like this heaven, if you want to call it that. Some folks would, I would, with Harry. But Harry goes, comes back to Hogwarts in reality. And he was so kind to him up there. And so like, he was very smart character, Dumbledore.
But see,
right?
that's it. He's smart. He had no choice but to follow along with Harry doing that. So he protected Harry as best he could until he knew he had to die. Because if he had veered off at all, they wouldn't have been able to defeat Voldemort.
Yeah.
So he had no choice. Dumbledore knew, like, if I don't lead you to slaughter, like, you will have no chance to live.
But he truly wanted Harry Potter to die?
No, he wanted him to live. He wanted Voldemort to think that he was just keeping him out in the open and not as aware. And to get him to think that Snape was really his guy.
Oh, right.
And you could see, even to the end, Snape still thought that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's why I was just like, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this swerve right now? And clip this part right here. Because I'm like, Dumbledore was my guy. I thought he was so great, and he's just so smart, and he helped Harry so much, and he taught him so well. And I thought Harry Potter could be like the next head of the dean. I get that's the way I kind of looked at Dumbledore. He was like the head wizard, the dean, right?
Yeah, he was headmaster.
I was like, Harry Potter can be that. And then like the way they described that entire backstory about Snape, and he had a crush on Harry's mom, and the whole movie, the whole series, excuse me, you have your mother's eyes. You have your mother's eye over and over again. And then to hear it that final time, I was like goosebumps. I'm like, holy smokes, man. So some of the storytelling was phenomenal. Certain films I liked better than others. I really loved them when they were little ass kids, like in the first film, right?
Yeah, like the first two are super fun.
Right. But then I also liked them as like the, older teen, and they're kind of dark now, and like it was just super cool, man. So yeah, I would definitely watch them again. Somebody who hasn't, you need to.
They're good family movies, because that's what we do. Like every holiday season, usually it's on. Like at my brother's house, I'll pop in. I'll be like, oh, which Harry Potter are you on? And I'll sit there. I'll finish the whole movie with everybody. Like it's at least an annual thing in our house.
Yeah. Like my favorite character right off the bat outside of Harry was Ron.
Ron Weasley.
I thought he was so cool because Ron was such a coward.
Yeah.
He was such a chicken.
The cowardly
right?
lion.
Yeah, but he made the sacrifice play for his friend. And that's when I was like, that is not my dude, because he was a little ass boy. But I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, Ron. Like that was so cool. And experiencing all these movies for the first time, I finally got to hear where all of these sound bites come from, and where all of this meme culture comes from.
Yeah.
Like 36, I counted them myself. You know, I had no idea where that came from. And then, of course, you hear all over social media, do you want me to stop Snape from getting that stone or not? Not me, not Hermione, you. So I finally got to hear that for the first time. And, dude, what is... I was walking around my apartment screaming out, what was it? Infectus Patronum!
Expecto Patronum.
Yes. Dude, and like Stupefy, like all this stuff. I got super into it. Totally nerded out. Had a great time. I'll wrap the whole thing up because I could talk about it forever. But all in all, I'm happy I did. I really enjoyed them. Anybody who hasn't seen them, even if that's necessarily not in your wheelhouse, you owe it to yourself to experience it because it's such a big part of American pop culture.
Man, well said. A whole thesis right there. Dude,
not bad, right?
A whirlwind. Not bad at all. Because now I can talk to you and be like, hey, remember this? I'll send you a meme. You'll be like, oh, Ron Weasley, I got it.
Yeah, man. It was...
My favorite character was Dobby.
Yeah, dude.
I was so sad when he died. I was like,
oh my God.
I remember watching that in the theater and with my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, oh my God, they killed Dobby? Why?
Yeah. Well, when you saw that knife come through the portal, I'm like, they better not. No!
Had to.
Yeah.
Dude, Harry
I know there's...
You
yeah,
did it.
Go ahead.
You did it. You got through Harry Potter, man. You took it on.